Yeah, Mr. Deji, please, you can go ahead now.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And it's an opportunity to actually come here and share insights and with my colleagues and among finance students who are facing the struggle we have one faced earlier in our career. So my name is Oladeji Adeniji, and I am a painter. And I also finished about 3 years ago from the Department of Fine and Applied Arts. And currently I'm undergoing my MFA in painting and drawing in Wire University, USA. So basically, I what I do is painting and drawing, and that's what I do for now. And I'm also a digital artist, and by the side I run some illustrations, and basically I'm a traditional artist, and my primary medium is oil and acrylic. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. So up next is Mr. Victor.
Hello everyone. My name is Victor Ogundeji. I'm a ceramist. Basically, I work with clay, and I graduated from the Department of Fine and Applied Art 2019. I'm a practicing artist, and by the grace of God, there has been progress in my practice to where I am today. And there have been a lot of experiences, there have been a lot of challenges up to date. And so it's a good way and a good platform to be here, sharing those experiences and advising one another in the art practice. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Mrs. Morakinyo.
I'm not Mrs. yet. I'm Miss Morakinyo. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we can. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Funmilayo Morakinyo. I'm a museum professional. I work in the National Museum Lagos as an exhibition design curator. So my practice is basically made on working with the artifacts, and it's quite different from the contemporary art view that we do have right now. The majority of the students would want to venture in. But on the side also, I've had experience in contemporary art, also in managing art and setting up exhibitions, managing artists as well. So it's a great opportunity to speak with you guys about the business of art and how to sustain your artist career while you're still in school. I'm looking forward to this section. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, ma. Up next is Mr. Olukunle. Yes, we can now.
Okay, like I said, my name has been mentioned by the host, Opasade Olukunle. I happens to be one of you, still part of you. I had my first and second degree at the same grade of Obafemi Awolowo University. That is my BSc and my master's as well. I'm a sculptor by profession. And then I basically work with different kind of materials because I'm a multidisciplinary artist. But I have a team I always work on, which is man and his environment. Yeah, the journey so far has been so interesting and at the same time so challenging. You know, as an artist, you have a lot of things to talk about, and it's a great privilege, to share experiences with people of like mind here, and then also people from different practices as well. So I really appreciate the platform of lending voices to everyone this morning. So thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be in your midst.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. So we'll be bringing Mr. Aanu up now, but as he's giving us, as he's letting us know about him, I think I would want to drop a question so we can commence the session. Drop a question and ask, how did your journey into the 2D game arts begin while you were still in school? So yes, Mr. Aanu.
Yeah, first of all, can you guys hear me? Because it's raining out. All right, awesome.
Oh, yes.
So yeah,
we can.
my name is Olukunle Okereafor. I'm also a alumni of OU. I finished in 2023, I guess. So I'm currently a digital artist and a 2D game artist. I work mostly digitally. So I work in the gaming industry and also work in the animation industry as well. Currently, I'm a 2D game artist in Metaverse Magna. It's a sister company to Nescoin, mobile game developer. So that's pretty much what I do. And your question again, success.
Oh yes,
How,
my question is, yeah, how did you begin your journey into the 2D game art world, especially when you were still in school?
yeah, to be honest, at first I did not envision myself to be a 2D game artist. My main focus was just to be a 2D illustrator, to be honest with you. Before I now started migrating to Tokyo from 2D illustrator to working in the animation industry. And then I started noticing that the industry and the marketplace is requesting for like the next big thing aside from animation was now like games. And obviously there was a lot of capital and money pumping into the gaming market or gaming industry. So I was like, okay, I think I need to change my perspective from just the animation industry into the gaming industry. Though I still work in the animation industry, but I was like, oh, I need to. So it's more like a change of perspective. Um, I didn't start out as wanting to work in the gaming industry, but I had to change my perspective to want to work in the gaming industry because that is where I see the money going to. So I started learning gaming skills like game development, or game design, art, to the game art design and everything. So yeah,
Right.
that's how it started. Yeah.
Oh yes, so thank you very much for that. So this question goes to Mr. Victor. At what point did you realize art could become more than just a skill or passion? Looking at how many years you've dedicated to studying this as a course.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a great question. So I will start by saying, first of all, art is a journey. It is a journey. It's a journey where you will encounter learning, you will encounter growth. So all these things bringing together, that's what will add to you journeying into the art space. So that was 2013. I gained admission to the Polytechnic Ibadan, Irua campus. And from secondary school directly to the Polytechnic, that was how it happened. And I'm privileged to have a background in my secondary school. I had a very good art teacher. So I've been drilled. In fact, I had drawing sections, star and die, all the aspects that even the theoretical part. So the awareness was there for me. It wasn't as though I got to the Polytechnic, I was stranded. No. So I had a track record of knowing what I want to go for before going for fine art in the Polytechnic. And so getting to the Polytechnic, there are different people. I've seen people who had the experience training from masters. So that really buckled me up to really sit up and say, oh, I'm here and I'm here for this. And one of the things I discovered during the course of the program, the year one and the year two, the Polytechnic is structured in a way that you'll be engaged. No matter how, there's no way you will definitely be engaged, largely on practicals. So, and that has been the drill. That has been the dream. So from there, 2013, that was 2013, I finished 2015. So I had the plan of going through direct entry. So, and then I was like, okay, it's 50-50 thing. That I had 2-1 does not guarantee that I'll be admitted in the university. So I took JAM again. And that was how I got to enter Opasade University, not to direct entry. So I started part 1 again. So in 2015, when I started part 1, in fact, what I leveraged on was the experience I had in the Polytechnic. So the people I'm competing with then in part 1 are those coming directly from secondary schools. And for me, of course, you can't compare a 2 years experience at the Polytechnic to someone leveraging on you coming directly from secondary school in an art school. So most times when assignments are given, I don't think twice. I know what I want to do, and it really gave me an edge during my part 1, even to my part 2 days. So, and before then, I've been wanting to specialize in painting, and I've seen many paintings, because what really gave me the flair, it wasn't as though I'm really talented in practicing art. I just had a flair for it at first. When I saw my art teacher in secondary school, he painted one of my colleague, and it was like, wow, oh, this is painting. And since then, that was where I got my intentions and my passion for art. So I've been building on that till now. Can you hear me?
Right. I think yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. I think one thing I would want everyone to note with oh, right, it is not lagging from my end, but can we all hear me once again, just to confirm? If you can, please, let's just repeat it. All right, thank you very much. So yes, one thing I wanted us to note for the listeners to note with Mr. Victor's story, he used a word, is that it is a journey. It is a journey. And I think one thing I want to point out, what he just mentioned also, is the fact that it is not a short-term thing. One of the main reasons why I started this, why this idea came to mind, was because I always ask myself a question. I'm like, what is the difference between a lawyer, a doctor, and an artist? A lawyer, a doctor, and an artist. I don't think the difference is because they are seen as professional. I think as an artist, the more you take yourself as professional, the more people take you more seriously. And in the process of being professional, in the process of being professional, I think that is one of the reasons why we need this kind of webinars with artists, so that we can hear each other's experience. So this is just to point out again that if anyone here knows that there are some people that you know that they should be in this conversation, because we've not really gone so deep, they should be in this conversation. Please do well to send them the link to this conversation. So yes, so moving forward now, I would want to know from Miss Funmilayo, looking back, what do you think helped you start early compared to many students? I mean, going into the museum space.
Okay, back in school, I didn't major in art history. I majored in sculpture. In my school days, I was very, very optimistic. I'd like to try things that are not, things I normally wouldn't want to do. I'd like to push myself to the edge. So while there were several options for me to major in, I could have majored in painting, textile, or artistry. I chose to major in sculpture. And when I found myself out of the school, I initially wanted to venture into sculpture as a career practice in the arts industry, but circumstances led me into the museum practice, and which then I went into the curatorial practice, and I went back into the museum practice. And one thing I want to state is that majority of these things are what you overlook while you're in school. In school, you could focus on, oh, I want to be a painter. Oh, yes, I'm going to be a textile artist. I'm going to be a graphic artist. I mean, it is a good thing for you to like put your focus on one particular, specialization. But I didn't really focus on artistry. I wasn't even very much interested. I mean, not on like, I was majorly just interested in the course just to get my grades and just not to be involved in the art historian aspect. But moving forward, now I'm into the art historian aspect. Just imagine that I didn't actually put in more attention into the course, put in just less, like just let me just get D and just get out of this place. But majority of what I learned in school in the art history, I was currently working on in my workspace now at the museum. The artifacts we've learned about, the Olukunle, the Bolaja, Igbo Isaiah, and all that we've learned about in school. So what I'm just going to try to say right now is that at times it's not even about the practical aspect of the art, it's about the theoretical aspect of the art. So in as much as you are conversant with the practical aspect, you should also be conversant in the theoretical aspect as well, because left to me, I did not see myself working in the arts history or as an art historian outside of school. I was basically looking at myself as working as a sculptor or a painter, but I had to delve into something else.
So this question now, we are moving into the business aspect of this conversation, and I would want to ask Mr. Opasade this question: that many students focus on skill development. At what point do you think artists should begin thinking about the business side of art?
Sorry, come again with that question.
Yes, I said many students, they focus on skill development. I want to be better, be good. I'm now saying that at what point do students, do they need to start to think about business of art?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. What I would say is that there is no yardstick or any laid down rule or any ultimatum for anybody to start the art business of a thing. One thing that I believe in is, in as much you know where you are going, what you want, and how you want to get it done, the space is there to operate. So whether you are in 100 or you are in 200 or you are in 300, the most major thing to focus on is, do you want this? Is this something you want to go for? Do you see a future in it? So when you are able to answer those questions, so definitely you are ready for the business aspect of it. As a student, there are so many challenges. Let me use the art phase as a case study. As far as fine art is concerned, everybody knows that you are going to spend a lot. And then it's just like you calling your parent every day, I need this, I need this, I need that. I need to buy this, I need to buy that. Even if you are not a parent, if you happens to be a brother, there is a limit to how people will be calling you every day for money, that I need to get this. Even you yourself, you get tired of it. So that's what I said. There is no any yardstick or any ultimatum or any level at which any art practitioners can say, or a student can say, okay, yes, this is when I want to go into the art business of a thing. One thing I always say is that, in as much that you have found yourself in the course, there is no point leveraging on the problem. The thing is, look for solution. The problem is there. Just look for a way out. And then I believe that to every problem, there is always a solution. Unless we are unable to get the solution as at when due. Yes, it's good to acquire skills. It's good for you to sharpen your skills, to know how to do it very well, because that alone will help you as far as the art business is concerned, because that's what will sustain you. Because if you are not good at what you are doing, you won't connect, or you won't, call for some bigger, let me use the word bigger, phase of the business of art, because art, as it's so called, is a very, very jealous cause. And even if you yourself, you are not, inwardly supporting yourself, you won't be able to enjoy what the art brings to you, because let's the truth be told, art will frustrate you. And in the process of that, many people will divert. So art is not all about, I want to go into the business, people are selling it, let me to sell my works. You need to be properly oriented. That was what I said. You must know what you want, how you want it, and how you to go about it. I don't know if that is able to, answer the
Yeah,
question.
yes. I really like that perspective that Mr. Opasade brought up. He said you must know what you want, and I think this will bring me to the next question, which is also to Mr. Opasade, about how then did you get your, let me use the word, first professional exposure. So yeah, I would want to know your perspective on that.
Okay, my first professional exposure, is it during school or after school?
I think I would want to use a general statement. Like, when was your the first one that you could remember right now?
Okay, I think my first exposure I could remember happens during my 300 level. I think after I specialized, I think that should be first semester thereabout. That will bring me back to the level of skill. In whatsoever you are doing, always try as much as possible to be good at it, because you don't know who is looking at you. You don't know who is rooting for you, and you don't know who is going to connect you. So the best thing you can do is, when you sharpen your skill, definitely, universe know how to, make things work out. So I happen to have someone who recommend me. The person is not even in finance. I think from other department thereabout. I don't know, maybe probably computer science or somewhere. So the first gig I had then was a fashion house in Lagos. So, and I was asked to, construct a logo for them using purely wood, and then the wood should be a detachable one. So I was opportune. There is one thing I always like to do. There is room to learn more as far as art is concerned. So there happens to be our lecturer then, Dr. Idowu. So Adeniji. So this man is very, very good in woodworks. So, and then due to the man's, yes, and then many people don't want to associate with him, but he's a very nice person. So I just decided that, okay, yes, I know this one, I know that one. Like Miss Morakinyo said the other time, that sometimes you push yourself to do some things that you think, okay, you don't know how to do. So that was how I ventured into it. And then that was what brought the first gig, the first exposure, you know, and then the contract was a successful one. Even my lecturer then was so surprised how I was able to carve out some letterings, using those woods. So I will basically said, whatever you find yourself doing or to learn from others, it will definitely be useful, in one way or the other. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, I would want to now move this conversation into the conversation about sustainability, because this is the main reason why we are here. And so far, to our listeners, so far, we would see that majority of what we are saying has been revolving around the starting. And I think the reason we are going through that conversation is understanding that everyone is in the phase of beginning something, starting something. We are having this conversation so that we understand that, oh yes, because you are at this point, you are currently in school, you are at this point studying fine arts, or maybe you are still in the phase of learning the skill, improving your skill, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be around these kinds of conversation. Now, moving the conversation into sustainability, I would want to ask Mr. Oladeji, about what does sustainability mean to you as a creative professional, as someone that's I've been in the creative space. What do you think? How would you answer the question? What has been your experience about sustainability for you to define what it means as a creative professional?
All right, so thank you so much for that question. So sustainability to me means like, like being able to like, afford your living expenses as a creative. Because what's the point of, to me personally, what's the point of spending like 4 years? I mean, I've even spent more than 4 years. I spent like 6 years learning in total. If I were to exclude you, industrial training and all, like in school, I've spent 6 years. Not to talk of the extended period I spent in OAU. So to me, it means like being able to afford your living expenses, being able to like, live a good life. Just like many oppose and say, oh, there's no future for finance students. So being able to prove them wrong, being able to like afford my daily needs is sustainability to me. And not only for a short while, for a long, like including a long term goal, being able to do that for a long time, not just probably like, you getting a commission for like 3 months and you have to like suffer for the rest of like, probably 5, 6 years. So that is what it means to me. And there's actually something I want to like keeping that
Yes.
my boss EY said the other time. I don't want to forget. So he said something like, whatever young friends to do this very well, when you see an opportunity to learn something, do. So I want to tell you something. Right now I'm in the US and there's something I regret so much, my bro. I regret not learning how to use the throwing wheel as at when I was in OAU then. And then I just felt this thing is not of great importance to me, Jerry. I'm a painter. What does the ceramics what's it called has to offer me? But trust me, it's a great deal. You never can tell when you are in your prep, in like particular situations. But then you never know what the future holds. It is always very, very, very good to be versatile. When you have the opportunity to learn something, your friend does something and it comes easily to you, just learn it. Yeah, versatility is very, very important in this art field. Very, very, very important. It's one of the things you can actually do to help yourself. Because right now, this place is saturated. And one of the major problems we have right now is we have people who are not even studying finance, who are actually making money. So you want to actually go into those spaces and compete with them. Even on our own, we have like a lot of students studying finance. Now let's go back to the internet space, these days of NFT and the like. Now we have a lot of like people studying mathematics, studying medicine and surgery, in the pool with us. So if you want to stand out, you have to be very versatile.
Hmm.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for that perspective about versatility. And, based off this question that I asked, sustainability, in short, we can also say, relating with the conversation of sustainability, versatility is also very, very important. So thank you very much for that. I would also want to throw this question to Mr. Adeniji. What do you think young artists, young creatives, especially people that are starting, to our listeners precisely, what do you think they misunderstand about money, about making money from art? What do you think they misunderstand about making money from art itself?
All right, so to me, most of them just probably like once you just gain admission, they just like I was when I was in school. Most of them are not like able to like dedicate themselves and just invest their time. They just want the money to just come, just like we have in internet fraud. Art is not magic. Art is not magic. You've got to like invest your time. You've got to like dedicate yourself. You've got to like even lose yourself in the process to make the money. It's not just a rich girl gets rich quick scheme. No, there are two different things. If you have to make money from art, you've got to like be patient, and you have to like own your crafts, and you have to like follow the process. It's a gradual process. There's something I feel is missing right now in these modern days, which is affecting me personally a little bit, which has affected me in the past, and which is people just underrate or undermine what's the impact of a mentor in one's life. Trust me, if you have a mentor, you are going far in life. Let me give you an example with this. When I gained admission to you back then, just like my Oga, Mr. Victor, popularly known as OJ. Then I gained admission, I was very social in class then. I had to like meet a lot of friends, Oncho and the likes, Gideon and the like. So they will always come back to my hostel in Angola to do assignments together. Based on my own age, because I've gone to Polytechnic, I was able to like help them avoid some mistakes, which made them have good grades in their assignments. So let's assume that my impact was not actually included. They might have just produced irregular assignments. So the weight of a mentor is actually like underrated. You need the mentor to thrive. You need it. You need someone who can tell you, oh, you are doing that wrong. Oh, just keep doing it. That is the right thing you are doing. Oh no, you are missing this. But people say, oh, I don't need the mentor. When you get yourself a mentor, someone you actually aspire to be like, someone who is thriving in that field you are, you just need to like connect with them and say, bro, please help my life. You see people who are actually making money, who are living a good life from this art. You can't just do this thing yourself. Like it's a journey. You cannot just survive on yourself. Trust me. Because comes that journey, it comes with frustration. It comes with like denial at times. Like, oh, am I even meant for this thing? But then when you have a mentor by your side, you always tell you, okay, just do this. Have you tried this? And getting a mentor just comes with the experience. You are just in this thing. There are a lot of things you don't know about, but that man has actually faced that thing, and he can actually help you avoid those mistakes, those errors right now. So getting yourself a mentor is very, very important. It is very, very important. As you own your skill, as you actually work hard, getting a mentor is compulsory. To me, it's compulsory. There's something that I feel is actually missing in the IFA school. So disclaimer, I'm not saying people in the IFA school don't love each other, but then there's this sense of this community that be lacking in IFA school. So let me use this as an example. When you go to like schools like Unilag, I'm opportunity to have like few friends from Unilag. There's the way those guys carry each other along. When they have like collectors that are ready to buy, well, they give each other advice. You can meet this man, you can do this is what you can do. When they also help in actually giving recommendations, okay, you can take. So I feel probably because of the location of Ife School, because most of us don't work in the studio back then. So we are friends, but then career wise, most of us just do our thing like alone. And I feel having a community helps a lot. I don't want to start mentioning names, but I can actually mention a lot of artists who have actually made money, who have been able to, like, sustain themselves just because they have a very great community. They say, oh, this collector is my collector, he buys well. Can you please tell this man? Okay, can you please recommend me? There's one of my guys I will not mention. This guy, I did IT with this guy together. And after a while, he decided to like change because we both plan to like come back into finance in AU. But then after a while, he just changed his mind and was like, oh, let me just go for literature in English. So after like 2 years during COVID-19, this guy decided to like try arts back. Then he went to Ghana for a residency. And that was like Bolu just, Bolu like got his limelight and he started making money and he had to recommend one of us that we did that together, and that guy has actually like made more waves than him. So don't just belittle the weight of like recommendation. A strong community, it helps a lot, and that's one thing I wish I could actually correct if I have the chance to go back to Ife Art School.
So just by the way, moving forward, Mr. Deji pointed out something about mentorship. Now I want to direct this question to Mr. Aanu. What is your take on preparing ourselves for mentorship? I mean, it's not something that we can just, you just wake up one morning and then you approach someone and you say you want to be a mentee. What should be our disposition, looking at the effect of mentorship to helping us grow? As per how Mr. D has pointed it out, what should be our disposition in getting a mentor?
Yeah, I would say the first mindset someone should get into before looking for a mentor is to know validation on the aspects of what you want to do in art. I guess that's a good place to start from. And then the second step is know exactly what you're asking for. In my own scenario, I think back in 300 level, when I was studying digital arts, I was just doing arts for art's sake. Just Tortoise can remember then. I just used to make different type of arts. There was no point to it, to be honest. But then it was like I was seeing Success, I was seeing Moby, I was seeing some of our other classmates making strides and like in the industry and everything. It was like there was a purpose to why they were making arts. Then there was nothing for me then. You get. So I didn't have that mindset or the stance to like, okay, I want to do this particular thing. So then I didn't see any need for a mentor. So then also I was like, I can't just keep on going like this. So I just had to like, okay, made up my mind that, okay, first of all, I need to first set my mind. Okay, I need to do this, and this is what I want with my life. This is where I want my life to go to. Shake it. So that's when I reached out to Moby, because Moby has worked in the animation industry, has worked with a lot of massive studios. Success has worked with a lot of massive studios. So I was like, I just had to reach out to these people, like, see, guy, can you help me? How do I do this? How do I do that? So asking that right question, and also coming to that mindset of, okay, I need to learn, or this is what I want for my life. Having that mindset, I feel like is very very important to getting a mentor. So I feel like that's my take on it.
Yes, thank you so much for that. We'll be wrapping up very soon, and this is just to inform the listeners, people that are listening in, to start preparing their questions. This is not just a conversation for the guest alone. This is a conversation for you yourself, the listeners. So if you have a precise question that you need an answer to, please start to write down your question. I see Mr. Deji's hand up. Please, I'll bring you on soon. So start to write down your question, and if you know you can't voice it out, we'll be giving space for five people to ask their questions. So if you would be asking your questions, you can, when it is time for Q&A, you can raise up your hand and would bring you on. So now back to the conversation. I want to send this question to Ms. Funmilayo. Yes, what habits helped you grow as a professional? Habits, decisions that you set your mind on, what basically got you to this point? What decisions got you to this point?
Okay, so I will start with what decision got me to this point. So I finished in 2019, and I had a plan that I was going to go to where I did my IT. That's Abino Collins. I did my IT with him here in Lagos. That was going to go to a studio to start creating maybe some miniature works, then get into exhibitions, start exhibiting my works and all that. But something happened, COVID happened, 2020, COVID happened. There was lockdown. We couldn't, what's it called? We couldn't go out. We couldn't go out. So I was stuck in my father's house and with social media. So all the plans and my visions for me going into the creative sector as an artist, I just saw everything die down. So, and then I started, towards the ending of 2020, I started applying to galleries as a gallery manager or as a gallery assistant. Gallery manager is even higher, as a gallery assistant. And out of majority of all, I would say that I applied to majority of all the galleries in Lagos, and I only got a response from one. And the one I got the response from was, it was a bad response after the interview, you know, where they'll tell you, oh, okay, we'll reach out to you. Do you understand? But then the owner actually did reach out to me, and he told me that distance was a problem for them. Do you understand? It was a problem for them. And then I saw my dreams, my plan. Okay, I had a plan to go into the practical aspect of art. Then that couldn't work. Okay, let me go into the business aspect, the managing aspect, the curatorial aspect of art. And then I was like, is this how this plan is going to go away to? So after my service here, I served in, what's it called, in National Museum Lagos. I didn't have network. I didn't have, the mentor I have didn't come to play then when I served in the National Museum. I used a wheel of, what's it called, I could have called it, this pushing myself on the hedge, onto the hedge rather. I requested to be posted in the National Museum, and that was it. Nobody else wrote a letter of request. I did, because I was like, I don't want to leave this art space. I still want to be into the art space. I don't want to go into the teaching aspect. I mean, it's not a crime to teach, right? Yes, but I didn't see myself being in that field. But I want to be in the art space. I want whatever I'm doing to still be in the art industry, even if it's not in the practical aspect. I could go in the business aspect. I could go in the part whereby I would be trying to, like, I mean, in the arts industry now, in the business aspect of art, majority of the people we have there are not trained artists. They are not trained in the knowledge of art. They didn't go to art school. They didn't do fine art or anything. Majority of them are lawyers. Majority of them are science students. Majority of them are accountants. You understand? So having to do this as somebody who is conversant with the field, who is conversant with the art industry, you understand? Making a change, making it worthwhile, trying to understand from the perspective of the artist. Do you understand? But then I found myself in the museum. Then I moved back from the museum. I went to a contemporary art gallery space where I set up exhibitions, managed artists, artist relationship and all that, whereby I went back to the museum again. So why the mentorship played a role for me was when I was going to go back to the museum. And then I reached out to my mentor, which was the person I did my IT with, Abino Collins, and he told me that I have more leverage in a contemporary arts field than I do in the National Museum. But then, you know, when it's time for you to make decision, it all boils down to your own will. What would you want to do? What would you want to accept? So I left the what's it called, Contemporary Arts Gallery for the National Museum. And it's been a great journey, because if I was in the contemporary arts industry, I wouldn't have known much about this history, about these artifacts, about it also being part of our, what would I say, part of our heritage. Do you understand? But being in the National Museum, I was able to also go into the contemporary arts as well, being a curator, as being gallery manager, as being an exhibition design curator, and also as being an artist manager as well. So one thing I would say worked for me was mentorship did work for me, and also would I say self-reliance or will actually did work for me. That was what pushed me forward into where I am currently. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes, it did. It did greatly. It did. That self-will part was where we were getting the conversation to having a mindset that I have to find a solution from this problem that I'm currently at. And I think if there's anything that we, the listeners, should take out from this, from what Ms. Morakinyo has pointed out to us, is having the mindset that I need to find a solution. And this is why we created this webinar. I need to find a solution. This is you finding a solution to sustainability. We've talked about solution of mentorship. We've talked about solutions of networking. We've talked about solution like what Mr. Deji. I know Mr. Deji still has a lot of pain points. I'm sure to let you know that Mr. Deji is very passionate about this conversation. Even from campus, we would always converse, and that's why I was so happy to have Deji on, because he was so, like, even from campus, he was so passionate about sustainability. He was so passionate about sustainability. And so, yes, about you finding solution on networking, through networking. You finding solutions through mentorship. And emphatically, what Ms. Morakinyo said is about you finding solutions about through your own personal will. What do you want to do? How do you want to get yourself out of this problem? And now this is just to remind us again that we can start dropping our questions in the chat. Whatever your questions might be, like I said, this conversation is tailored, is supposed to be tailored for you intentionally. So whatever your questions can be, please keep dropping them in the chat. We have like just 3 more questions to go, and then we'll hop on Q&A. Like I said, we'll be answering just 5 questions. So the earlier, the better. So Mr. Opasade, I want to throw this question to you now. That how can students begin? Because I'm here to let everyone here know that Mr. Opasade is like permit me to use this word, the daddy of daddies in this conversation. In the sense that I believe that he's going to have more wider perspective to give us instructions, especially in these areas. Now, I want to ask you this question, sir. How can students begin preparing themselves for opportunities before graduation? We've talked about the mindset. We've talked about mindset. But now, what are the practical things that we need to do to prepare ourselves before graduation? This question, of course, goes to students, to people that are still in that stage of skill. I think you pointed out something earlier about being good, having a skill and all that. But now, in the process of graduation, what are some things that we need to do? We need to focus our mind on. Okay, let's say, for example, now I'm an high achiever. I need to have like some to-do lists, some things that I need to do before I graduate from school. Before I finish school, I'm in 300 level, I'm in 400 level. What are some things that I need to have on my list while still in school to make that outside school experience more palatable?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I won't accept the fact of daddies of daddies. Actually, I also am learning from this platform because as we are having the conversation, there are so many things I've been gaining from even your own, and then as well the panelists as well. So, back to your question.
Yeah.
I'll pick my point from 3 things. As a student, number 1, you let go of pride. That's one. Then secondly, you need to forget about your background. Whether you are from rich or from your poor, you need to forget about that. And then thirdly, you need to put on the garment of humility. It's very, very important. If you want to scale through the journey of art industry, you need those 3 things. You need those 3 things, and you have to bury yourself into it if you want to scale through. One thing I've learned so far, I'll pick from what Deji said, is the fact that, I don't know, maybe should I call it a disease or something, maybe probably right from onset they were unable to, work on, is the fact that, many artists always have this mindset of pride, like you can't control me. You are not the one sponsoring me, and then you are not the one feeding me. So you can't tell me what to do. That's why it's very, very difficult for, let me use the word, students or art practitioner nowadays to be under any mentee, you will discover that, all these people talking about mentorship and the likes, if they share their experience with you, many of the current students now can't go through that kind of mentorship. None of them can bear it. I can categorically say 95% of them cannot bear it. Is it the fact that you have to trek from EDM to Road 21 because you want to go for a mentorship, you want to work for someone in order for you to, get a skill? You can't even do it. You can't. So that was why I said, the spirit of pride, you have to bury it before you leave school, because that will help you in the art industry by the time you finish. And then also the second aspect that I made mention of is the issue of background. Either you are from a rich background or you are from a poor background. That should not be a determinant factor of where you are and where you are going. You can't control your birth anymore, but you can control your present and you can control your future. So, and then also the third one is the aspect of humility. Humility. You are the one looking for something. This thing you are looking for, you know how beneficial it will be for you. You know how engaging it will be for you in your career. Even if at all you choose not to practice art, a time will come whereby, this art of a thing will just come to you all of a sudden. Nobody plans for anything. Nobody plans. Okay, now, Deji was saying something that if he had known, he would have learned how to do throwing away. And if someone would have told him that, okay, oh, come on, learn how this thing, just know, there are some things when the opportunity comes, it will just present itself. Like we are discussing, everybody have leverage on it. Whatsoever you find yourself doing around your colleagues, nobody is an island of knowledge. You can pick one or two things. So far, you are still in school. One thing that I did that really helped me so far is the fact that, sometimes some people will ask me, what is your major profession? And then mostly I always find it difficult to tell them. We always use general terms as, okay, yes, I'm a sculptor. But how would I explain to someone that, yes, okay, I'm into woodwork. I can carve a stone. I can weld. I can do textile. I can do painting. So how am I going to explain all these things? Well, art is very, very wide. As far as the business of art is concerned, any contract can come from any angle. It's not about you, saying, okay, now, imagine someone being a curator and at the same time is a sculptor. Now imagine she just decided, okay, yes, I want to do some works. I need to do an exhibition. She already had knowledge as far as curatorial aspect is concerned. She knows where to leverage. But if you don't mingle, if you don't learn, if you don't put on that garment of humility, if you see yourself as someone that have achieved so many things, wherever you have not achieved anything, while in school, that alone will be a blocking stone for whatsoever you are aspiring to be in the future. And then also, as far as art business is concerned, you just need to prepare your mind for the worst. Because whether you are a painter, you are a ceramist, we have a lot of art practitioners now. And before you say you want to sell your works, those three things must be buried. You need people, no matter how you want to. And then one thing I will also chip in, as far as the student is concerned, is do not or don't ever join anybody to criticize anybody. It's very, very important. Yes, I might be bad to Mr. Success, I might be bad to Mr. Oladeji, I might be bad to anybody, but that doesn't mean I won't be good to some people. But it's not for you to go and tell people that, oh, this person is bad, this person is bad. What the person you're supposed to benefit from, you might end up not gaining anything because of the way they have positioned that person. So if they say someone is bad, try as much as possible to see yourself if that person is bad, because you don't know whether that person they say or they are saying is bad will be the one that will lift you up as far as your practice or whatsoever you want to become in life is concerned. So let me just stop with that so that we give room for so many things. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. You went into positions and conversations that we never even thought of going into. I really, really appreciate. I think we can also see the reactions from the listeners. They also feel the passion from you so much. Thank you so much, sir. So now moving into the last phase of this conversation, I would want to ask Mr. Victor that what are some difficult realities about building a career in art? I mean, looking at all what Mr. Opasade has pointed out, but in your own opinion, what are some difficult realities about building a career in art that students should prepare for early?
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, the panelists have done justice to whatever they have been saying since morning. And in fact, I've been learning. I had to pick my notes and start putting on some things. So I will say that, see, let's make it clear that this art business of a thing is a journey. I've said it. Like you keep on, take for example, Mr. Dotun will still keep learning the art business till now at the level as the level he is now. So personally for me, number one, I'm into ceramics. In fact, it got to a point I nearly backed out from art. It got to that season of like there was nothing coming in. I finished 2019. I had no experience of selling a ceramics piece till 2024. I was not like, what's happening? What am I doing wrong? What did I have to do that I'm not doing? So, and the funniest part is that I have guys around me who are into other stuff and they are making cool, but just because I'm around them, it really don't show. But me, I know that, no, this thing is not clicking. So I had to sit back and meet people. That's where mentorship comes in. I move around. In fact, Mr. Opasade is even, I'm very close, Mr. Lagri. There are things they chip into the practice that it will be helpful. Okay, try this, do this, create this, work on this, and that has been helpful for me. So one of my own main challenges when it comes to the art business, I ask myself, how many galleries, because, okay, let's say galleries, exhibitions, how many galleries promote my practice here in Nigeria? So how many collectors, the audience is about my navigating and leveraging on my audience, who are the ones that really need what I'm producing, my idea, the story I'm telling, who are these people? And if I can't find meat to that, I will still keep struggling, yet talented. I've seen people give me accolade. Victor, I love this, your work. This work makes sense, it's good. I have works, but if the monetary aspect, if the sustainability of it is not coming in, passion can turn to something else, and the practicing can be tiring at some point. So, and that 2024, it was Limcap that gave me the limelight. I casually put in, I say casually, and it was casually. I casually put in for the exhibition, or for the competition. So, and I stayed through the regional exhibition down to the grand finale in Enugu. I was, in fact, when I was emerged as the best in ceramics, that was what gave me the spotlight, that this thing can happen. I can really sit up. That was when I get to know that galleries or collectors will not take you serious if you don't take yourself serious. There are things you need to put in place. If there are some questions my mentor asked me, Mr. Lagre, Mr. Akinriola Ayolua, he asked me, he said, send me your portfolio, send me your CV. All those things, they were not, I don't have them. I just felt, let me just keep working. People they will come and see what I'm doing. No, there are things to keep in plan. It was so challenging for me because the monetary aspect was not coming in, so to say, and it was tiring. So it's challenging, and more so looking at because for me, that's what we are trying to work on. Ceramics is underrated in Nigeria. That's just the bitter truth. Now we felt creating a group, a community. Now we have Vision in Clay group, where we have students, undergraduates, we have practicing artists, we have men of Ato Arinze, there are many, in fact, home and abroad. We just concluded an art exhibition not quite long. In fact, yesterday we brought it to a close. So at the National Museum. So I've been learning, this thing really has a game to it. There's a network to the art business. In fact, when I saw this woman's post, Miss Art Miabu, so I've been following, I've been gaining and learning. So when we put those things in play, that is when we can have the result of whatever input we are putting into our craft, to our artwork. And when you make mention of this other thing the other time, what's it called? sustainability. For me, sustainability, artists must firstly see what you are doing as a prospect. See prospect in what you are doing first, that this thing yields. So, and again, when we see it as a prospect, know that it's an intellectual property. It's not something you can just joke with or toy with anyhow. That's your hard work. And understand that sustainability is for the long term, is a long term. So I've been around people. In fact, it got to a point I had to stop working and leverage on information from people. Mr. Dotun tell me, okay, network on people, build leverage on the community. Now, Division in Clay Group is planning on promoting maybe 5 artists next year to have a residency outside. So, and the ultimatum for that is that if you are not been practicing, if you are not been engaging in the exhibitions, in the group exhibitions, you are not qualified. So imagine you are just there working, no leverage on having a good network with people and the likes. So, but when I put those things in places, that's when I see the results. In fact,
Right.
that was what people gave me the back of that. Oh, this artwork really have an audience. I'm the one that have not really meet that niche. So, and because it will get to a point that if you don't see the feedback, the money, the sustainability feedback of what you are doing, you will be tired. You'll be tired.
Right.
So,
right.
That's just it.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Victor. I think one thing that we listeners should take out from that conversation that Mr. Victor has put out here is that he still emphasized on the mentorship. We hear him talking about Mr. Lagere. He still emphasized on the mentorship. And I think one thing I want to bring out from that for us to take note of is that he said something about portfolio. And sometimes I used to ask myself, as an artist, how do you want to? He used the word. He said, how do you want to, like? Was it him that made the point, or Mr. Opasade that said something about they ask you, who are you? Yes, it's Mr. Opasade. They ask you, who are you? And then you say, okay, you are this, you are this, you are that. Do you get? But then I'm now pointing this out to us based off what Mr. Victor has said to us, is that how do you want to show us that you really are all these things that you've said? He made a very emphatical statement about portfolios. And I think it's something that we need to also take note of, our portfolios. If there is anything that acts throughout this conversation, especially to 300 and 400 level students, people that are preparing to leave school, looking at what Mr. Victor said, he said that he has graduated since 2019. And since that period, he found it so difficult. Based off our question, what are some difficult realities about building a career in art? He found it so difficult to be, let me use the word, to be functional as an artist, to sell your artwork, to be functional as an artist. So if there's anything I'm going to emphatically place on this conversation, 300 level, 400 level students, start to work on your portfolios. Start to work on your portfolios. So thank you very much to our guests. We have one last question. This is also, okay, I see, yes, Miss Morakinyo, please, you can come up. Just give me a few minutes. So this is to everyone listening also. Again, please, if you have questions, please do. I'm only seeing just one question so far, so please do send it to the group. You have any questions about money, about sustainability, whatsoever it might be in your heart's career so far, please do send it to the chat box and would listen, or we would answer your questions.
So there's also something people underrate so much, and is that I want to actually point out. So I don't like to leverage on problems so much. So I don't want to talk so much. So there's this thing missing in school too, which I think Dr. Fach once talked about a critique. Like it's in one of our contemporary art courses. I think probably art appreciation or something. And he mentioned about critique. I think we did that critique for just a week in class. And I feel these are things that you need to know how to do as an artist. Yeah, nobody will tell you that, especially if you're actually a painter, a ceramist, a sculptor. These are things you need to be able to know how to criticize the work. And aside that, when you go out for exhibition, people will tell you to talk about your work. So if you don't even have this concrete knowledge about how to talk about your work out, it's a very big challenge. That's number one. Number two, when you're in your part 3 and part 4, there's something I feel will be very, very important. Probably because I've been in the Western world and I see how they do things. in a way you will just be asked like continue producing assignments even till your part 4, which is wrong. There should be a course in painting, probably in any field you are studying, which actually necessitates you are building your own style, which is missing. So most of the guys in my set, especially in painting and drawing, it was when we left OE that I started thinking about more, what do I even start painting now? How do I approach the market? And I think it's something you should be building as you are far back in part 3 and in fact part 2, part 3. You should be able to how do I communicate my ideas? What context do I want to put out in my work? You don't just paint or just paint for article or you draw for article. There must be a reason behind what you are doing. So and at times most of people collectors actually like when you tell your story from a personal experience. So those are the things you need to start building from now. School will not teach you that. As far as I'm concerned, in Nigeria, they won't teach you that. But you won't just leverage on that feeling and say because the school won't teach me this, then I don't need to know it. It is a very, very important thing for you to do while you're in your part 3. Start thinking about ideas. What can I do? What are the symbolism behind this? Okay, if I use this, what is its essence? So these are the things people will ask you there. You go to color and tell you, okay, why do you prefer to use this color? Okay, what is the main subject in this painting? These are the things they will ask you. And then you start saying, me, I'm just painting for article. I just no, it's impossible. So you've got to make your own research right now. You have to keep seeking people for advice, meeting your mentors, start building your ideas. What do I want to paint? What do I want this message to to communicate? Is this particular work meant for a particular race? Is this particular work meant for a particular people? Who are the audience that this work is actually meant for? So these are the very, very important things that I feel we need to address for part 3 and part 4. So you won't just leave and start saying, God, where do I start? Then there's another thing I want to add to this. So I feel though it's a kind of a reality from my own end, and I don't know if it's actually something that cuts across everybody. So I feel as artists, just like Mr. OJ said, Mr. Victor, he said he sold his first work in 2024 and he finished in 2019. So this is reality. Even as you are building your career in art, have something you can always fall back to that won't consume your time too much and make you forget about art. That's not my point. Have something you can rely on. I could remember then when this guy Ayomide Samson, he was our senior colleague in OU then. When he talked about NFT, you have to enter the business of NFT and we made money. So with that, even when you want to buy materials and to continue your work, it shouldn't be a problem. If you have to be very, very sincere with ourselves, if you are not making money from art right now, in fact, when we were in school, I used to buy an oil tube for about 6,000 naira. Right now, it's about 19,000 naira. So if you have to be sincere with us with the situation of Nigeria, someone who is broke cannot afford to continue painting or continue sculpting. Materials are expensive, equipment are expensive, they're on the high side. So you need to find something that can generate income for you on the side. Because if you have to ignore that and say, okay, it's not important, by the time you go without selling anything at all, you feel depressed and you might be thinking of backing out. So that's the honest reality. Find something on the side that can sustain you for a while. Then when you have in fact when you have the name, you can even yes, this guy, what's it called? This our mentor, boss, Jonathan Imafrido. He said when he came to the US and he was painting, he started selling cars. He started he bought a lot of cars and he started renting them out. So when you come, you rent cars, he gets money from them. So when it's broke and paintings are not selling, sculptures are not selling, he falls back to that. So having a side also a side income is also very, very important, to avoid frustration as an artist. Thank you so much.
Yes. I really, really appreciate you for that. And I really thank you so, so much for bringing this up. This is the reason why we are having this conversation. Before I bring Miss Morakinyo back on, this is the reason why we are having this conversation about sustainability. And I really appreciate Mr. Adeji for bringing that conversation about, even if art is not making you money right now, there are some things that you can be doing to fill up the space financially. As art students, if there's anything I would want for you to take, is that art right now to you might feel like a passion, but I want to emphasize that it is an investment. So I really appreciate Mr. Deji for bringing that up, emphasizing that Right now, your art might not be able to make you money, but you can do some other things to help you to fill up that space to bring you income. So that's what, and using the mindset that Mr. Opasade has brought to us, that what, having that mindset to stay. What do you want? If you know what you want, you will know how to get it. What do you want? What you want right now might be, as graphic student, it might be to work in an agency. That might be what you want, to work in an agency. But now, because you know what you want, you know how you are going to get it. Okay, for now, I want to spend a lot of money to get these courses. I want to spend a lot of money to, get myself into these spaces. And I'm sure that these conversations that we've had has really helped us and opened our minds to some possibilities on sustainability. I want to give the floor to Ms. Morakinyo before we then start to we might not be able to entertain all the questions. Okay, so it's still 3 questions we have so far. So Ms. Morakinyo, please, I would want to bring you up. You have a point to lay for us from your end, but I want to also include this question with what you need to say. Someone asked a question. He says, speaking of exhibition, what are the mistakes to avoid as an incoming artist while exhibiting?
Okay, so I was going to talk about, you mentioned something about building a portfolio, your 300 to 400 level in school. But first, I would like to say thank you so much, because this has been an insightful section. I mean, when we were in school, we didn't get the opportunity to have this kind of section, except during the symposium of our final year when we were going out of the department. When we were in school, we were not exposed to the art markets, we're not exposed to the entrepreneurial aspects. I don't know if they are doing it now, but then when I was in school, we only did like an entrepreneurial course in part 4. And one thing we're focused on was owning our skills and our assignments, which is quite great, because in this art world you are now, you also need your skills to be able to stand out. But when you talk about building portfolio, one thing I would want the students to know is that you also have to work on your body of work. You also have to work on your storyline. I mean, it is something in the arts, contemporary arts industry now, whereby you see, and I think Mr. Oladeji had already mentioned that, but let me just add more to it. In exhibitions now, you see some people, they exhibit, and when you ask them about their work, they are mute. They don't know what to say. I just did this. I just saw this man, and I was like, oh, this would be good to be. Let me just paint it. And what collectors want is not only the skills, not only the aesthetic part of your art. Do you understand? They also want to have a connection to it. Some people collect art because they feel connected to it. I mean, you can't paint for everybody. You have your own audience. Do you understand? You have people who will be your audience. You have people who won't be your audience. Do you understand? You can't paint for everybody. Do you get? But at least there should be a storyline in your work, in whatever you are creating. In as much as you're working on your skills, also work on your storyline, your trajectory, your body of work as well. This will also help you in building up your portfolio. And so what the question Not So Broken asked, I was majorly interested in question 2 and 3. So I don't know if you'd permit me to say something about that instead. So let me start with what are the key ways to position oneself to collectors professionally, either online or offline. So one of the key ways is what we've spoken about, which is networking. Networking is very important. I don't know if they still do this in Ife, whereby they had you go on excursion. I don't know if they still do it. Do they still do it?
Please, can the students please drop it down in the chat box if they still do exhibitions, like going on exhibition tours?
So if they do, that is good, and if they don't, I think it's something they should bring back up. I remember during the time of Mr. Opasade, we went to Abuja, we went to Zaria Art School, we went to several galleries in Abuja, and also in 2017, we came to Lagos, and there are times that they organize excursions for art exhibitions, and these are places whereby you can network while you're in school. Basically, your school is in Ife, you are not in Lagos, you are not where the whole art scene is being taking place, you are not where the whole art event is happening. There are times you are in school, event is ongoing, and you might not be chanced because you have assignments rather. But there are times that you could come together, book a vehicle and go down for an exhibition. I remember that I went for Iriajo, that is, I think, the first solo of Dotun Popola, and I was able to network with people there. So when you are networking with people there, you need to have your portfolio ready. You need to have something to show to them. Do you understand? And also another way to position yourself is when you make a sale on your art, don't just sideline. I want to say sideline. Let me not say sideline. Don't just break the communication with you and the collector. Do you understand? I don't mean you should be bugging them. No, don't bug them. But once in a while, you can just send a message, reach out to them. If you can create a newsletter, you can reach out to them so that when you have more works for sale, you can easily send it to them, and it won't be like, oh, this person is just putting his work to my face. Do you understand? You already have that communication line opened. Do you understand? So that's also part of the key ways to position yourself for collectors physically, and you can also reach out to some online. I don't buy the idea of tagging them. Do you understand? Some might see it as you bugging them. Do you understand? You can follow them, and you might think you are not being noticed. I will tell you, they see you, they notice. It is when you create a work they are so much interested in, you will see that this person will reach out to you, even if they did not follow you back. And you would wonder and ask yourself that, oh, so this man actually saw it when I followed him and he didn't see anything. Now he's interested in my work. You understand? Because they see what he creates. They've been watching you over the years, watching your growth, looking at your improvements. Do you understand? And when they feel, oh, it is time for me to, it is time for me to, I think I can collect his work now. It's not an artist who would, let's say, start this practice now and then ignore it over the years, because that's one thing they look out for. Collectors look out for in the art industry. I don't want to collect an art whereby in the next 3 years it has lost its value. Where is the artist? He's no longer practicing. Where is the artist? Oh, he doesn't do anything art related anymore. You have to be consistent also. So the key parameters that determine you winning a competition. I would say there are no key parameters, and I would say there are key parameters. One of the key parameters is your body of work, your story. Do you understand? Some art fair don't look at that. Do you understand? There are some art fair that wants crowds. They just want people to exhibit, just to make their fair filled up. You understand? So they might not really look at the your body of work or the storyline of your work. But when you now get there and there are collectors who want to buy, they would ask you about your work. I had an experience whereby I had to talk about an artist's work, and the title of the artist's work is mainly proverbs, Yoruba proverbs. Do you understand? So if I had not related with the artist to understand why he created the particular work, what the idea behind the work, the idea behind the title, I wouldn't have been able to sold that work. Do you understand? Because the man came and told me that, the collector came and told me that, why is this work like this? What's the purpose of this? And I explained to him that the work is based on a proverb, on a Yoruba proverb that says, "Nkoti omode ba wo, to ba bere wo, to ba gun afara," or something like that. I don't know how to say the proverb. That what an adult can see while standing, even if the child climbs the ladder, he can't see. And when I explained the ideology behind this artwork, the man told me instantly, and he said, I am buying this, mark it as sold. And he made the transfer instantly, and he bought that work. Not because of the work is not even something so detailed and all that. I want to say it's abstract. It is idealism. Do you understand? It's not all this realistic artwork and all that. He didn't understand why this person painted this, but when he understood, he bought it immediately. Do you understand? So one of the key parameters in winning a competition is your body of work, your storyline, your portfolio too will also help you to win a competition. I know some of these art galleries ask for your portfolio as well when you apply for to be shown in the gallery. They ask for your portfolio. So if your portfolio is not well organized, it could be part of what they might just discard. Do you understand? So I would also say that there are no key parameters. At times, I wouldn't use the word lucky. At times, you could be what the gallery is looking for. You could be what they want. Do you understand? It is your work that they want, or it is in line with the team. And you can't start rushing to be creating a work based on the theme of an exhibition or the theme of a fair. Do you understand? But you could also tailor your storyline to align with the theme of that fair. Do you understand? And there's one more thing I'd like to add. I remembered when I was working in a contemporary art gallery, and there was an artist who came in, and I felt so bad for her, because it was raining and she had art. She was a student. She had artworks in a this tube where you put your paperwork, and she brought it into the gallery. So my boss then asked her that, which other gallery have you been to? She said she has been to Signature. And what these galleries were doing was they were pushing her around. She would go to the first gallery, they would ask her to go, maybe she should go to another gallery. Those one will refer to another gallery. And within a whole day, she did all this work. And the last point was the gallery where I was working at then. That was when she came to. And then my boss now told me that I should respond to her. And I told her that you didn't have to visit this gallery physically. Your money could have been used on something else. Do you understand? You spent a lot now hopping from one gallery to another. And what they will majorly do is push you around. You have a good work. Do you understand? You have a very good work. Okay, so tell me the story behind this. And she couldn't say anything. So in my mind, I was like, what's the point of you going around, hopping from one gallery to another, when you don't have a solid storyline as to why you created this work? That is how you could have sold this. Do you understand? And then I told her that instead of hopping from one gallery to another, why not send it to them via email? They see it. I handled the gallery email. I see it when artists send the works. Do you understand? So when it is time for an exhibition, or we're doing something based on materials, and then I'll be like, oh, there was an artist that sent something and his work is based on exploring materials. Let me check in. Then I would reach out to the artist and let him know that, oh, we are working on an exhibition so day, and you sent your work earlier last year. We would like to. Do you understand? We notice. Do you understand? So the most important part whereby you can connect with collectors, connect with galleries, is go for exhibitions. You might not be staying in Lagos. Go for exhibitions. And there's an art fair they do now, +234, whereby if you apply, they will pick you. They will most likely pick you. Do you understand? That is also a way of building your portfolio, because in as much as you're in school, you also need to build your portfolio of because I believe in a section of the portfolio, you have a list of a section whereby you list out where you've been, what you've exhibited, where you've exhibited. There are several art fairs. We have LIMCAF, we have +234, we have miniature art fair. So you can even create smaller pieces and exhibits. Don't just be focused on doing your assignments alone. I mean, it's good to do your assignments, it's good to earn your technical skills, but also work on your social activities as well. That is where you get seen most likely. It's not everybody that would want to refer you. Do you understand? But when you put yourself out there, you go out there, you connect to people, you speak up to people. Don't be shy. You speak up, approach somebody, tell the person, introduce yourself, be sounding your what's it called, in your presentation. Do you understand? And they would notice you. Do you get? They will. So I don't know if any other person has something to have something to say.
Yeah. I think I see Aanu and Mr. Victor raising up their hands. Please, if you still have something to say, please let your hands still be up. I would call you in. So yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Morakinyo. I'm sure the person who asked that question has gotten a response to their answer. Although Mr. Victor's hand is up and Mr. Anu's hands are up, I would want to call Mr. Victor on to speak on what he wants to say and also answer the first question. If you can see the first question, you can also answer the first question.
Okay, I can't see the first question. Please, can you?
Okay. All right. Let me call it up for you. So the first question says, speaking of exhibition, what are the mistakes to avoid as an incoming artist while exhibiting?
Okay. Basically, it's still part of what you have been saying, that now is an awareness, because it's an awareness. Once you are aware of what to do, even if you face some challenges, you will take the challenges as a learning up. So I mean learning forward. So
Yeah.
once you put those things in place, in fact, we did last year Limcraft competition I put in. I was able to sell my work at the regional exhibition. Something happened at the regional, at Enugu, something happened at the regional exhibition. Do you know that as minute, I will not say it's casual, the way we sign our works as an artist matters.
Matters.
So the guy signed his work in a way that the work is okay, the drawing is okay, but when it comes to the signature, there's a kind of repel. I don't know. It might be his own decision to sign like that, but when we get to it, was Professor Ajiboye that asked him, why did you sign this way? That he needs to improve in his signature. The way you sign your works also speaks. So there are many things attached to exhibiting your body of works, presentation of your works, and even as little as when you delivering your works too. If you are approaching a gallery or you want to deliver your work, most times the expenses to the commitment of how you present yourself. Imagine submitting your painting, and it was Mr. Pelumi that was sharing this, and that was the first and the last time that it happened to him. That wasn't financially stable then, but he had to take his work down to the gallery, and he was sweating, using his hand to clear the sweat. In fact, the way he presented himself was not quite okay that day, and he saw the feedback from the people. So, and since then, he just had to work on himself and upgrade. That's the word. That's the thing. As we work, let's try to upgrade the practice too. Let us sit down. There are informations and there are people who are in this field. You can reach out to, please, what are the things that I need to get to know so that I won't make a mistake. They are above us, they are ahead of us to learn. So I've been in the shoe and I've really adjusted in a way, and I'm still learning. And so what I want to chip in, because Ms. Funmilayo talked about, was we should learn to work on presenting our works, even after that. If your work is not on site, can you engage me with your works? It happened in Plus 234 that I exhibited recently, this month, a couple of months ago. Engaging people to talk about their work, in fact, the phobia, even camera sets. Once some people, you might have what you want to say, but if you are not skillful enough to experience, and that thing is by experience. There's no citadel of knowledge. It's when you get yourself acquainted with it, you get yourself. I have phobia too at some point. When once camera is set, it's as if everything will just vanish from my head. It's not as if I don't have what to say. So learning learning many things. So, and that's where people will take you serious, because collectors won't just invest in casual people. As Limcraft is, Limcraft won't just select anybody as winner, as the top winner. They will look at your, as Fumi said, they will look at your track record, they will look at your portfolio, they will look at how consistent you've been. That's why we submit our IG, all details that they can use to connect you. So, and that's the thing. It's an industry where you need to upgrade yourself every day, every single day. Sometimes you might not even be that your exhibition you will go for will be in your field. There might be a sculpture exhibition, you go for it. I love what a student did. He's a Part 3 student and he's very close to me. He was aware that I went for Plus 234. He asked me for the location, how you be. He left Ife for the exhibition. He didn't have the money, but he outsourced it and went for the exhibition. You might think there's nothing added, but the experience, it will store something in you, definitely. When you go back to your practicing, when you want to ask, oh, this is it, meeting people, people sharing their ideas, that's when you can learn to it. So that's what I want to put in.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see Mr. Oluwatobi's hands up. I think that is the last question we'll be bringing on. But I don't know, Mr. Anu, you wanted to point out, you wanted to inform us on something. So I don't know if you would want to take it with the question that is coming in, or you would want to speak up now.
Oh, it has nothing to do with the question
Okay.
because I myself have not been to an exhibition or exhibited any works in a gallery. I'm mostly a
Right.
digital artist, like So I wanted to touch on a point you mentioned, like two conversations back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on mostly for digital artists, like Abraham, myself, you, Tundiana. There are some things I learned about portfolio building and your art as a whole. Sometimes, like if you're in fine arts, studying fine arts, it teaches you about composition, anatomy, storytelling. But when you leave university, that's when you know that okay, well, making your art good, making a good art does not actually pay the bills unless someone is paying it for you. So you get. So I want us to see art from the perspective of your art isn't really the product, it's more of your function. I'm saying this from a digital artist perspective. She gets in fine arts, traditional art, you sell paintings, but in games or in the animation, you're not just drawing pretty pictures, you're actually solving a problem with your art. She gets in the gaming industry aspects, you are creating assets, you are creating different things that, let's say, the 3D artist is going to use in the phase of the project. So you're not just making pretty pictures, your art is actually creating something. I'll be solving a problem, I would say. So I would say the business move for your art not being a product, but your function is you learn the pipeline for the particular industry you want to go to. Let's say it's gaming industry or the animation industry. You learn the pipeline. You know what the next person in that project, for instance, let's say the rigger, the 3D artist, what he needs in the pipeline. You speak to the production committees and everything, and you understand what is required of you. So it's not just about making pretty pictures, like I said. It's just your function in that company. Because there are a lot of people nowadays that they do not study art. Some people are some are mathematicians, some are chemistry students, and they are working in the gaming industry, they are working in the animation industry, and they don't really know how to draw. But they know how to position themselves and be useful in that field. And I'll say your portfolio as well. Your portfolio has one job, to be honest, and which is to get you the next job. In the university, your project, most of your projects you are doing is just for growth, to show, okay, yes, I've done this painting, I've done this, I've done that. But like in the digital world, clients don't really care about pretty pictures, personal illustrations. What they really care about is like reliability. They don't really care about how many hours you put into a piece, what your painting is saying. Don't take this the wrong way, like I'm saying, traditional artists, like it does not really matter. But in this aspect of like
In the
industry,
digital
they
world.
don't in digital world, yeah, they don't really care about what is the meaning, how do you use your brushstroke. It's more about reliability. How are you able to fit in to the culture of the company? Are you able to like meet deadlines? Are you humble enough to be able to like take feedbacks and everything? So I would say the business aspects of portfolio building is for digital people. You have to create like different stylized portfolios. Let's say, because you don't want to stay in one place as well. You don't want to just be in the animation industry. You don't want to just be in the gaming industry. You might also want to be like in the movie industry as well. So you have to create different portfolios that appeal to different companies. One for mobile games, one for indie devs, one for movie production. So those are ways you can improve your chances in the art industry. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Right.
Just to recap,
Right.
your art isn't the product, your function is your portfolio has one job to get your next job. So that's all I'll say.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure the graphic students, and this is why we have this conversation, so that we can see the business of art from different perspectives. Either, you know, we call it fine and applied art. It is not just one, it is fine and applied art. There are people that will focus more on the applied art aspect, and there are some people that will focus more on the fine art aspect. And I'm sure the listeners have gotten so much from all perspectives. And I really appreciate Mr. Aanu for bringing the perspective, solidifying the perspective of digital artists and graphic artists in view, bringing it up.